The ocean was calm that morning, far calmer than the men and women aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford expected. The world had been shifting rapidly over the past few months, and intelligence reports were growing darker with each passing day. Deep inside a remote mountain range on the other side of the world, an underground weapons complex, massive, fortified, and nearly impossible to penetrate, had suddenly gone active. Satellites detected unusual heat signatures, heavy transport traffic, and radio silence thick enough to raise alarms at every level of the Pentagon. Something dangerous was happening under that mountain, something the United States Navy could not ignore. Hours later, inside the dimly lit Combat Information Center aboard the Ford, a coded message arrived from Washington. It was brief, it was specific, and it changed everything. A senior officer read it twice, then once more, just to let the gravity settle in. The world's most advanced stealth fighter, the U.S. Navy's F-35C Lightning II, was being cleared for its first ever real strike mission, a mission so sensitive that even the pilots wouldn't know the full details until minutes before takeoff. The target was a hardened underground mountain bunker carved deep into granite cliffs, a complex believed to be storing next-generation missile components capable of destabilizing an entire region. The bunker had been built for one purpose: to survive any conventional attack. Cruise missiles had failed. Ballistic strikes were nearly useless. The mountain had swallowed everything thrown at it. But this time the United States was sending something entirely different. Something built not merely to strike, but to vanish into the sky and reappear only when destruction was inevitable. On the flight deck, the night air was thick with tension. Yellow shirt directors moved with machine-like precision, their glow sticks slicing through the darkness as engines rumbled like distant thunder. The F-35C sat at the edge of the deck, its canopy reflecting the lights of the carrier, its sharply angled surfaces absorbing the darkness around it. To anyone watching from afar, it was nothing more than a shadow, but to the crew, it was a warning to anyone bold enough to test the United States. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Hale, call sign, Falcon 1, climbed the ladder and lowered himself into the cockpit. He had flown every fighter the Navy had thrown at him, F-A-18C Hornets, Super Hornets, even the occasional joint training flight with the Air Force. But nothing compared to the F-35C. It didn't feel like a jet. It felt like a living intelligence system with wings. Every sensor, every camera, every line of code inside this aircraft was built to make the pilot a ghost, always seeing, never seen. As ground crews armed the internal bays with precision-guided bunker penetration munitions, Hale's helmet came alive. The panoramic visor fed him real-time data, thermal signatures, wind vectors, electromagnetic readings, and satellite overlays so sharp they felt impossible. He wasn't just a pilot anymore. He was the center of a battle network stretching from the carrier to space. Falcon 1, you are cleared for launch, came the voice through the radio. The jet hissed as the canopy sealed. Engines spooled. Steam blasted from the catapult track. The carrier trembled. And in one violent burst of acceleration, the F-35C disappeared into the night. Seconds later, it was nothing but a whisper. Flying at high altitude, Hale switched to stealth strike mode. The jet's wings adjusted automatically, its radar cross-section shrinking until it virtually dissolved into the surrounding air. On radar screens across the region, the sky appeared empty. No jet, no threat, no anomaly. The perfect ghost. Intelligence drones had already mapped the mountain region earlier that day. The complex was built beneath nearly 180 meters of reinforced granite, thick enough to withstand old-generation bombs, thick enough to resist shockwaves, thick enough to make any traditional airstrike seem pointless. But the F-35C wasn't carrying old weapons. It carried smart munitions designed to do one thing: find weakness, penetrate steel and stone, and unleash devastation at the very heart of a target. As the jet crossed the coastline, Hale activated passive sensors. The jet instantly detected multiple radar systems sweeping the sky, but none of them registered the F-35C. Their beams passed through empty air, searching, failing, searching again. Hale smirked behind the visor. This was why the F-35C existed, because somewhere out there, threats were evolving. And so was the United States Navy. Minutes later, the mountain appeared, massive, black, silent. It rose like a sleeping beast under the moonlight, unaware of what was flying toward it. Hale pulled up satellite overlays. The bunker entrance was hidden behind a false rock facade. Air vents were disguised as natural cracks in the cliff. And heat signatures deep inside the structure confirmed heavy machinery was running. Something important, maybe world-changing, was happening down there. Falcon 1, weapons free, command whispered. Hale locked the target. Inside the belly of the F-35C, 2 bunker-bursting munitions armed themselves, each calculating terrain angles, density, and potential blast zones. The jet aligned perfectly, every system settling into lethal harmony. He pressed the trigger. The jet didn't jolt. It didn't shake. The bombs didn't scream downward like old-school munitions. Instead, they slipped silently from the bay, vanishing into the night like falling stars. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the mountain shuddered. A deep, rumbling boom rose from its core, echoing across the valley like the growl of an enraged god. The ground erupted, not from the top, not from the sides, but from deep within. A column of fire shot upward as the blast inside traveled through old tunnels, pressure rooms, fuel chambers, weapons racks. The shockwave expanded in microseconds, ripping steel beams like paper, pulverizing concrete, and blasting through the granite that had protected the site for years. The top of the mountain lifted, actually lifted, like the lid of a sealed container. It hovered for a fraction of a second. Then it exploded. Stone, dust, debris, flame, everything burst outward in a colossal fireball that lit up the night sky for miles. The explosion was so bright that orbiting satellites automatically marked it as a possible nuclear detonation before recalibrating. The shockwave traveled through valleys, shaking trees, cracking old roads, rattling windows in distant villages. Inside the cockpit, Hale watched in silence. His helmet display captured the entire eruption, analyzing heat signatures and structural collapse. The mountain wasn't just damaged, it was gone. Its internal chambers turned into molten, glowing rubble. Direct hit, Hale said calmly. But the mission wasn't over. Infrared sensors detected multiple vehicles racing from hidden tunnel exits on the far side of the mountain. Hale switched modes instantly, the jet transforming from stealth bomber to hunter. With unmatched sensor fusion, the F-35C identified hostile vehicles, tagged them, and plotted intercept paths automatically. Hale rolled inverted, descended low, and unleashed precision miniature missiles that streaked across the valley. Each one found its target. Each detonated with clinical accuracy. Within seconds, the fleeing vehicles were nothing but burning wreckage scattered across the mountain roads. But then things got complicated. A new radar signal appeared on Hicks' display, a mobile anti-air system scrambling from a concealed firing point. The system locked onto Hale's approximate location, firing 2 surface-to-air missiles in blind intercept mode. They couldn't see him, but they fired anyway, hoping to get lucky. The missiles streaked upward. Hale reacted instantly, pulling the F-35C into a hard brake turn. The G-forces crushed his chest, but the jet held steady. The missiles spiraled behind him, searching, losing lock, trying again. They cut through the sky, one overshooting, the other adjusting course. "Come on," Hale muttered. The F-35C deployed a directed infrared countermeasure beam, a silent, invisible pulse that blinded the missile seeker. In a split second, it veered off course and detonated harmlessly in the open sky. The threat was gone. Hale regained altitude. The smoldering remains of the mountain burned below him like a fallen volcano. Streams of smoke rose into the night, illuminated by dying flames hidden deep inside collapsed tunnels. He switched to return mode. Back aboard the carrier, every operator waited silently. When the F-35C appeared on radar, friendly, safe, returning, the entire Combat Information Center erupted in applause. This wasn't just a successful strike. It was a demonstration, a message, a reminder to the world that technology, precision, and stealth were now redefining warfare. Hale's jet touched down with a soft thud. Deck crews rushed forward. The canopy opened. The cool night air hit him like a wave. He pulled off his helmet, sweat dripping down his face. The commanding officer approached. "Mountains gone," Hale said. The officer smiled. Message delivered. News of the strike spread within hours, though details were deeply classified. Intelligence agencies issued vague statements. Satellite images leaked to analysts, showing a massive crater where a fortified bunker once stood. Experts around the world scrambled to understand how such a protected facility could be erased in seconds. But those who understood modern warfare knew the answer: the F-35C wasn't just a jet. It was a network, a sensor system, a precision platform, a ghost capable of reaching into places no other aircraft could. And for the first time, it had shown the world what it could do.